The 33rd film in the Marvel Cinematic Universe is set to hit theaters tomorrow on Veterans Day weekend, and I have to say that this really might be one of the worst Marvel Studios films I have seen. Let's get to the review. Welcome back, film fans. It is Brad from Let's Be Roll Brad, and today on the channel, I want to talk to you guys about the brand new superhero film called The Marvels. The Marvels is directed by Nia DaCosta, and it is produced by Kevin Feige, as it is a sequel to 2019's Captain Marvel. The film stars Brie Larson, Teyonah Parris, Iman Vellani, and Samuel L. Jackson. So going into this film, I was pretty excited to check it out, as I am with every Marvel Studios project, as Marvel Studios is one of the biggest, if not the biggest, movie franchise right now, and it is breaking box office records all over the place. But with the start of Phase 4 and now into Phase 5, Marvel Studios has gone a little bit in a different direction, with focusing on different sequels and having different miniseries, and also introducing a lot of new characters. And you have this film directed by Nia DaCosta, who made Candyman from 2021. This was primed to be a really good movie, and to be honest with you, I thought this movie was just a whole lot of nothing. There isn't a lot that actually happens in this movie, as it just feels like a really long episode in a long-running television series that features these characters, because I didn't feel like I actually cared about these characters, which is really unfortunate because these characters are really cool, but it just does not come together. And the biggest issue for me is the writing, as the story of this film is so basic in its very typical Marvel Studios type structure that this movie doesn't find a way to make you care about anything that's going on, and it ends up just being a setup for future projects. And it became very frustrating when I just didn't care about anything that was going on. So let's just dive into some of the positives first that I have with this film, and I do have to start with some of the action, as I found the action to be shot pretty decently, especially in the beginning of the film, where you see in the trailer where the characters are jumping back and forth to different times as they use their powers, which I thought was pretty cool and definitely one of the best aspects about the film. There's a lot of great wide shots and not a lot of really annoying editing during these fights that made it a lot of fun to watch. And most of this movie is basically action, so if you're someone who just mostly enjoys action, then I think you're gonna have a good time watching this film. The next positive I have with this film is the performance of Brie Larson as Carol Danvers, aka Captain Marvel. I think that she is really good as this character, even though that she isn't really given a lot due to some of the bad and mediocre writing from her first film and this movie. And I do think Brie Larson is extremely talented. Teyonah Parris as Monica Rambeau was pretty decent in this movie, even though I just do not care about this character as much as Marvel Studios wants me to care. I do think that she is doing a really great job in this role and just giving everything that she can. But the big standout to me is Iman Vellani, who plays Miss Marvel, as I really enjoyed her in the Miss Marvel miniseries, but I do think her performance is sort of weak in this film, especially when you compare it to that miniseries, that she just felt so aligned with that character and in the spotlight, where there are a few moments in this film where she just doesn't feel like she's acting, especially every single time that she is screaming. Oh my God! But besides that, she adds a lot of charm and personality to this film, and she is definitely the best choice to play Miss Marvel. And so I just hope that she is able to be used more in future projects and just written as a better character and with better lines and direction, because Iman Vellani is the right choice to play the role. She just deserves a lot better. Samuel Jackson is also in this film as Nick Fury, and of course, he's great in the role. I mean, he's been Nick Fury since 2008's Iron Man, so you know he's been here since the beginning. He's one of the best actors of all time, and he is just having a lot of fun in this role. He isn't in it a lot, but when he is on screen, he is a lot of fun to watch. And the last positive I can give this film is the pacing, as this is the shortest Marvel Studios feature film, and in all honesty, it does make this movie feel much easier to watch as it goes by so fast. And by the time the movie ends, I could not believe that I was getting out at a pretty decent time. Now, let's dive right into the negatives here, and I have to start with the writing, as this is easily the weakest aspect of the film, where this movie just feels like your most typical, standard, made by a committee, factory type movie that goes exactly the way you think it's gonna go. There really isn't any surprises or fun moments that happen in this movie. It just happens. There's just this event, and this event, and then the movie ends. And it just gives you everything that you would want from a Marvel film, but at the same time, I just don't feel anything, especially with the main villain of the film. I thought that she was one of the worst villains in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, as she doesn't really get a lot of backstory here, as this is a very typical villain we have seen before. She doesn't really do anything in this movie. She doesn't seem menacing at all, and she doesn't really need to be in this movie for it to work, in all honesty. So it just made this movie more frustrating when you have one of the worst villains in this universe going up against these characters who are very underdeveloped, don't really have any arcs to them really at all, and basically all the characters are exactly the same as you saw them in the beginning of the film and at the end of the film. The next criticism I have with this film is that this is the least funny Marvel film with it trying to have jokes, as this movie is just not funny. There is a couple of, chuckle moments that happen throughout the film, especially one with a bunch of cats. That was definitely creative and my favorite moment of the film. But other than that, the jokes really fall flat and they're awkward and weird, and it doesn't mesh well with the tone of the film that's supposed to be your typical action, comedy, adventure, science fiction type movie. And it never fully comes together, and it just feels like a really awkward and unblended mess. I also found this film to be so inconsequential to the Marvel Cinematic Universe, where I don't feel like this movie actually matters. If 3 years from now Marvel Studios decides to make this movie non-canon, then nothing would really change all that much besides like the last 20 minutes of this movie that leads to a really awesome and amazing post-credit scene. But other than that, it doesn't really matter. Overall, guys, The Marvels is one of the most disappointing big blockbuster movies to come out of this year, as this movie had all the potential to be one of the better blockbuster movies this year, with so much talent behind this film. But unfortunately, with its shorter runtime and a better pace, this movie doesn't deserve my time and attention when it doesn't really care about its characters, and it's more focused on just making money and being made by a committee. And it doesn't feel like this is an actual movie that someone wanted to make, but it just feels like it's just made as a product rather than art. So yeah, this was just a big disappointment. I am giving The Marvels a 5 out of 10. Thank you guys so much for checking out this review. As I want to know below in the comment section, have you seen The Marvels, and are you planning on checking it out this opening weekend? I can't wait to hear all of your thoughts. Before you guys check out this video, don't forget to hit that subscribe button, leave a like as you always should, and ring that notification bell so you never get to miss a brand new video.